Hello, friends. How are you? How's things? How's your life right now? Mine's pretty great. I'd love to hear about yours. I brought the Kindle because I read a book and I want to talk about it because somebody here recommended it. I do not remember who recommended it. I'm sorry if it was you. You saw the title. The book is called. Wait. No, open the book so I can show the cover. This thing doesn't understand how this works. Um, we're getting there. I promise you. I should have had this queued up, but you know me. I don't. I'm so bad at this. Why do I continue to do this to myself? The book is called Track of the Cat by Nevada Barr. That has to be a pen name, right? Like, nobody is named Nevada Barr. That just sounds like. I don't know. Anyway, somebody recommended this book because I was mentioning, or I was actively reading. What's the name of the other series I was reading? The series that was set in Wyoming, whatever that was called. I was actively reading that series, and somebody said you should give this series a try for the atmosphere. It's set in Texas, not the Rockies, but it's set in, kind of the deserty, cool part of Texas, not the like urban areas. And it's about a park ranger who ends up kind of, murder mystery, standard kind of mystery thriller in this case. And I will tell you right off the bat, I enjoyed this book very, very much, despite its kind of abrupt and unsatisfying ending. It was fine. I don't want to. I don't want to tell you the ending because I just know that it just kind of stops, and you don't get the month later thing doesn't happen, which is fine in this particular case because I really want to read book two. And I'm reading something else right now, but then I'm going to go right back to reading book two. I haven't been reading nearly as much this year. That I haven't been reading as much as I wanted to, but that's because base has really eaten up all of my time, and I'm very happy about that. They're both great hobbies, but reading is kind of a casual thing I can do when I want to, and base is something that I'm actively pursuing, and that's why I've found somebody to play with, and because having that motivation means I'll keep going, right? Anyway, back to the book. Nevada Barr, the writing style of this book, I do not know if this was this author's first book. This is the first book in a series about the main character, whose name I do not remember. Doesn't matter. The main character, it said right there on the thing. It was like, I don't remember. Whatever. Her name is something. It's a series featuring her. So I don't know if this is this author's first book or not, but the writing was excellent. Like, I didn't have any struggling with dialogue. I didn't have any struggle with descriptors. I didn't have any of those problem words like some people write had in every sentence. She had gone over here and she had had this thing. And you're like, okay, you don't, we get that we're in the past tense. We don't have to put had in every sentence. But some authors do it and it really grates at me for some reason. I felt that her prose was excellent. It was not complex, but it also wasn't like simplistic to a toddler degree. It was easy to follow. She used some words that were like, whoa, what's happening here? Some of them were like, I guess, desert plants and animals that I'm not familiar with, but she used them because the character is super familiar with them. And it was a really interesting mystery because it is set in the desert. Like, it is. There's a group of park rangers. They live kind of in local housing, like supplied housing. So there are some people, but the majority of this book is she's out in the backcountry doing the backcountry stuff. And then when she comes back, it's trying to figure out what's going on before she goes back out to do a patrol or whatever. So there's a good bit of horseback riding. There's a good bit. It just feels like an older time and place. And I think the book is set in maybe the early 2000s or something like that. So there's no cell phones, whatever. It's just radios. So there is a little bit of a disconnect there, but it doesn't hurt. I don't mind it at all. All right. I had a really good time reading this book. So to whoever recommended it, thank you. I'm going to keep going, and we'll see where this ends up. But like I said before, I'm going to spoil it here shortly. So if you're going to want to read the book, if you're interested in, this is how my freaking brain works. Right now, all I can think about is bass and music related stuff. And so remembering the series that I was reading previously that was set in Wyoming, it's just not in my head right now. I just removed it from my head and I'm on to something else. The writing of this story is better than the writing of that story. It's a better write. It's well written. It is kind of a Western, but set in modern times. It has a little bit of a cowboy feel. It has that like rancher versus the world, versus the state, because there's obviously ranchers that want to do rancher things that are morally and legally questionable. There are some hero characters that you don't expect that are doing things a little bit unorthodox. This main character, I don't want to say she's morally questionable, but she does some stuff in this book that you go, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know what's up with that. But she's also a badass, and I like, badass female leads. You're awesome. I love it. As a father of daughters, I love finding good stories about strong women, standing up for what's right in the world. And I especially enjoy it when the author makes me feel the kind of when I get to see the sexism from the female point of view. Because as a male, I know sexism exists. I have definitely participated in it in my life, whether I meant to or not. Doesn't matter. I still participated in it, right? And maybe it was inadvertent, and I did some sexism that I wasn't aware, and I made somebody feel uncomfortable. I like seeing it from the other perspective because it helps me understand how I move through the world. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love, stories like this. It's a very good book. So I'm going to talk about spoilers now. If you're not really into that sort of thing, you should go somewhere else. But the book is largely the main character questioning herself about whether a crime was committed or not. So it's not the sort of story where a crime happens and then everybody descends on this area and we get to follow the detective around and figure out what happened. It's more like something happens that doesn't seem right and the main character can't let it go. And so she plods through this plot to find out if there was a crime committed. Ultimately, the answer is yes. And ultimately, the ending is very abrupt, and we get no resolution as to whether what she does at the end of the book is... I'll tell you what she does at the end of the book is questionable. Legally, morally, there's a lot of... It's very questionable, and we get no, we get not... I would expect there to be like a chapter about she was put on administrative leave or whatever. That kind of, the cop did something off the, stepped over a line, did something and is now, sent to the farm for a couple of weeks until they can come back and figure something out. I expected that kind of ending. No, it just ends. And you're just like, oh, she does what she does and she walks away. That's the end of the story. Kind of like the riding into the sunset story, but it's in the middle of the night, so there's no sunset. Maybe it's the sunrise. Maybe she walked into the sunrise. That might have happened. Very good book. Very interesting characters. She had a lot of really good characters. They're not just ancillary people to bounce questions off of or whatever. I felt like every character in this book was alive. They all had their own motivations. They all had their own points of view, and they tried to press them on the main character. There was a lot of that, and I appreciate that because a lot of times in these kind of books, those secondary characters are just kind of like shouting boards or sounding boards. I think that's what I meant to say. And that's not the case here. There's a really strong character here. So, again, whoever recommended the book, thank you very much. I will continue reading the series, and I'll report back when I do that. I'm reading a friend's book right now, and I'll get to that eventually. But honestly, right now, I'm basically just playing bass whenever I have a moment. So, yeah. That was Track of the Cat by Nevada Barr. Thank you for watching. Have you read the book? You should tell me about it. If you think you might read the book, you should come back and tell me about it later. And you should tell me if there's books like this, kind of modern day-ish. Doesn't have to be modern day. It can be 2000s, 90s, whatever. But technologically advanced cowboy stories. I like that kind of thing. Let me know what I should read in the comments. While you're down there, please give the video a like. Doesn't matter if you like it or not. Just hit the button. It's free. And if you're new, please subscribe. I'm trying to get back to 25,000. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We have been learning 12 tough truths to help you grow, and we are on number 6. One of the greatest freedoms is truly not caring what everyone else thinks of you. As long as you are worried about what others think of you, you are owned by them. Only when you require no approval from outside yourself can you own yourself. That's very true. It's also impossible to get over, except when I learned that the secret to life is nobody's thinking about you. They're all too busy thinking about themselves.